Welcome to the Freeficient Entrepreneur Show, the only productivity show about working less and enjoying life more. Get rid of overwhelming to-do lists, kick anxiety to the curb, and do more of what makes you happy. Are you ready to live life on your own terms? This is true freedom. This is efficiency by design. Welcome to Freeficiency with Dr. Anna Cragen.
Hello, everybody. It is Anna here, back for another episode of the Freeficient Entrepreneur Show. I am excited to welcome everybody into the broadcast. For anybody who doesn't know me, my name is Anna Cragen, and I'm a productivity advisor for online entrepreneurs. And once in a while, I like to do this special episode of the show where I answer any questions that you guys have specifically for productivity. And it doesn't have to be business only, or it can also be life only. And just in case you're watching this on replay and you can't make the show live, of course I would prefer it if you were here live, but if you cannot make it, you can pre-submit your questions for me to answer on the next segment of Freeficient Entrepreneur Q&A at freeficiency.com/ask. So, without further ado, I am gonna go ahead and dive into the questions. We've had a few questions that have been pre-submitted by you, listeners and watchers of the show. So the way that it's going to go is I'm going to read the question and then I'm going to spend a few minutes answering it. And if anybody watching has any questions or comments or questions of their own, then feel free to pop those into the chat at any time. So here we go. Our first question comes from Moshe, and he asks, my daughter is a senior in high school and plans to spend a gap year in Israel. There are scholarships out there that can help her pay for it. She hasn't done anything to try to get them and claims that she is busy with school. I think it is overwhelming for her and she is a procrastinator by nature. What can I do to help her get organized for this process in a way that will make this attainable for her without putting her into overwhelm? So great question, Moshe. And I love how you asked a personal productivity question and not just a business productivity question, because productivity is really for all the areas of our life. And first of all, I'd like to say that it is not just your daughter. It is all of us who have procrastination tendencies. I have yet to meet somebody who is so on top of things that they never procrastinate on anything at all in their lives. So take heart, it is completely normal. And I'm going to give you some tips regarding of how to make this process not overwhelming for her, like you said, because I think that the reason that we put things off is that maybe they're a little bit out of our comfort zone. Maybe we are just not exactly sure how to go about things. And if we just take some time to plan it or to think about it, then it becomes less overwhelming. So here is my best advice for you, Moshe, of how to help your daughter put together this plan. So first of all, I would encourage you guys to talk and to set a regular time that you will work on this project. So see how her schedule is with school, see how yours is, try to find a match between when she has even something small like half an hour, right? Or maybe even 15 minutes if you can't do half an hour. So the trick to this is making sure that you meet at a regular time each day. And then the second tip that I have for you guys is during those meetings, during the very first one, you're gonna do a big old brainstorm of all the things that you guys can think of that need to be done in order to secure some of these scholarships. So maybe tasks like finding scholarships, putting together the guidelines where they're easy to access, thinking about what application materials she might need to get. All of those things, you're going to brainstorm them all, and then you're going to organize them by category. So this can be like research, finding the scholarships, prep, so putting together the applications and then sending them, and so on and so forth. Thinking about all the different things that you'd need to do from beginning to end. And then after that brainstorm is complete, I want you to still keep that regular time to work on this one specific project, because that is really the two-step part, right? So the plan, creating the plan and brainstorming everything, that's step one. But then also the follow-through is keeping that regular appointment for this project and making sure that you are working on the plan as you go along. So I hope that this helps you guys. Please keep me updated as to how this process goes, and let me know if you have any other questions for this issue. So the second question we have comes from Jeff, and Jeff asks, how much time should I spend on sales activities versus the rest of my tasks for the day? So this is a great question, because as we all know, as entrepreneurs, sales activities or marketing are the most important thing that we could do. It is pretty much everything, because if we don't do our marketing, then we can't ever sell anything, and then we don't have a business. But in order to have something to sell, we need to create it or come up with a plan or do administrative work. All of these kinds of things also are important in running a business. So we can't market something that we can't have. So my advice would be first of all, to create a plan. Just like with the previous question, create a plan for, first think of what is the overarching goal that you want to achieve. And then what are all the tasks or projects that you can think of in order to achieve that goal? And then narrow it down to just one project to reach the goal that you want the most. So then, after you've done that, you're going to brainstorm all of the tasks that you can do for the project, and then break them up and categorize them. And also keep in mind all the other things that you need to do. And then if you see that all of your available working time is taken by other activities than marketing, then something needs to be eliminated, outsourced, or just taken off your plate, or just you don't do them to make way for those marketing activities. As far as how much time you spend on them depends on what marketing activities you're actually going to do. So if your business model depends on direct personal outreach to people, then obviously that is a lot more time consuming than doing things that can be batched. So like, for instance, social media posting or posting in Facebook groups or stuff like that. So how much time you spend on marketing activities versus the rest of the tasks really depends on the strategy that you are using to reach your overarching goal. So I would advise you to first think about the overarching goal, and then think about what activities would best serve that goal. And when you're picking activities, make sure also that the activities give you the biggest bang for the buck. So something like creating a video may take you 5 minutes versus to write a blog post on the same topic can take you an hour. So if time is precious, and it always is, then and you're comfortable doing video and you're coming across well on video, then you might pick video over writing the blog post. So hopefully that helps answer that question. Now let's see if, okay. All right, our next question comes from Heather, and Heather asks, how to simply conquer analysis paralysis and GSD, get shit done. So this is an awesome question, and I'm glad that you asked that, Heather, because really analysis paralysis is what we have when we look at our never-ending to-do list, and because it's not organized, it's not broken down into specifics enough, we're not sure where to start. So we try to pick, what's easiest, but then we're like, well, but this is more important. And we're just stuck in that, like you say, analysis paralysis, because our to-do list doesn't serve us. So I say, first thing that you need to do is get rid of that to-do list. That to-do list is making you feel overwhelmed and really anxious about things that are totally under your control, right? You completely decide what you work on, and what results you want to achieve, and your to-do list is holding you back. So, number one, get rid of your to-do list. So what do you do instead of a to-do list? You do a project plan. So I can kind of see a theme here with these questions of project plans, right? Creating a project plan, brainstorming all the tasks, and then organizing them into specifics. And then, just like with Moshe's question, pick a day of the week or a week of the month that you are going to focus on one of those categories on your project plan. And the trick to overcoming that paralysis of deciding what to do first, second, third is that you are going to decide what to do first, second, third, what's most important, what's not important, before you actually sit down to work. Because I think a lot of people have this analysis paralysis because they are trying to decide on the fly what should be their priority. What should they work on first? What, goals should they hit first? So decide that as much as you can beforehand. And I think you can decide all of it beforehand, honestly. So let's say if you want to get more clients and you want to rework your packaging, right? Like that's your packages. And that's how you've decided that you want to get more clients. Then if you simply put redesign my packages onto your to-do list, that's going to be such an overwhelming bullet point there that it's going to stop you right in those tracks and make you want to crawl back and watch Netflix for the rest of the night. So the way that you make this less overwhelming is break down that redesign my packages into a project plan. So what should you do first? Maybe it's deciding what is wrong with your current packages and how you want to rework them. Maybe then it's creating a new service or a product. You kind of see how this is going. And then even creating a service or a product, that can be broken up more specifically into like little specific tasks too. So let's say create a new product. What kind of product should you create? Decide if it's going to be like a one-on-one coaching or a course or a workbook, whatever. And then whatever it is, then there's multiple steps underneath that, such as designing the workbook, filming the course, creating the pages so that you can sell it. All of those kinds of things would create a super, super specific plan. So then when you look at your plan versus your to-do list, remember we got rid of your to-do list, right? When you look at your specific plan, then you are going to see exactly what categories tasks are grouped at, and you're going to see what is the first thing that needs to happen, what is the second thing that needs to happen, what is the third thing, and so on and so forth, so that then basically that decision making has been taken care of you by past you. So this is when you say, thanks past me, and you start working on the next task that is in your project plan. Okay. All right. Well, we are just moving right along with these questions. Again, let me know if you have comments or questions of your own in the comments, and I'll be sure to get to them in this episode. Okay. So our next question comes from Sarah, and she has 2 questions to ask us today. So her first question is, I have lots of ideas for being productive, like batching blog posts, But then when time comes to do it, I find myself unable to concentrate and want to do everything but write posts. Any ideas? Of course, Sarah. I love talking about this topic, which is, and really it's because when we create that kind of schedule for us, like we say, okay, I'm gonna spend today just writing all the blog posts, it inevitably happens that we get interrupted or we get distracted or even we get tired of writing blog posts the whole day and we just want to switch focus. So there's a number of strategies that you can do to make this process easier on yourself. Because remember, I'm not going to sit there and tell you that, no, you have to sit in that chair and do not move and do not look at anything else until you finish writing those blog posts. That's a very strict way and confining way, honestly, and I personally don't do it that way. So I never tell people to do things that I personally would not do. So what should you do instead? Well, so here are some ideas. So first of all, when you decide, okay, I'm going to batch blog posts, the first thing that you need to keep in mind is that you can really only focus on the same task for about an hour and a half. So anywhere from like 60 to 90 minutes is when you're going to have your most productive time. After that, you're going to start to have fatigue. You're going to be more easily distracted by other things. Your task is going to keep crawling at a snail's pace until it, dead stops, and then you're off to watching Netflix, right? So keep in mind that 60 to 90 minute window. The second thing is that when you schedule that 60 to 90 minute window during the day also matters. Think about, when do you have the highest energy? When are you more likely to get in the zone that, as you know, batching provides, right? When are you most likely to be at your absolute best during the day? So for most of us, the mid-afternoon, so about 2 or 3 p.m., is generally a low energy time, so I would not schedule these important batching tasks during that time. Instead, I would schedule something like administrative tasks or little tasks that you can do where if you are not at 100%, that's completely fine. But your prime time, energy-wise, you should schedule during that, your prime time, you should schedule for those batching tasks. Another idea that you may have, or that you may use, I should say, is that even if you schedule during your most productive time and you do, block out a 90-minute window to focus on a specific task, you're likely still going to get interruptions, whether outside of yourself, from, let's say, family or friends, or things coming into your inbox or social media or what have you. Or you may even have interruptions from your own thoughts, because as your brain is working on this task, it's thinking in the back of your mind's mind, it's thinking about all the other business tasks. So because it is working kind of in that sphere, it's popping up with all of these great ideas that you want to capture or you want to act on. And actually, I did the very first episode of the Freeficient Entrepreneur Show, episode 001, talked a lot about the specific strategies that you can use so that you minimize the effects of those distractions on your work. But so go ahead and listen to that episode if you haven't already, to get more of those detailed strategies for how to handle all kinds of interruptions. But one thing that I will suggest is that you should keep a notebook or a notepad and a pen right next to your computer while you work. And then when you are distracted by some thought or something comes into your inbox, or you look down at your phone and you see that you have a reminder, instead of jumping out of your blog post writing mode, you're just going to write down that task and any very, very brief notes about it onto your notepad, and then you're going to flip it over. And then at the end of your 90-minute window, when you're going to take a break, you can go back, review what you wrote on your notepad, and then organize it into your task manager, into your bullet journal, if you're into that, organize it into your to-dos, make reminders in your phone, whatever it is that you have to do with those types of tasks, that's when you do them. When you are finished with that 90-minute window of focused task on batching. So I hope that will help get you some ideas for quick strategies that you can implement right away to be more productive when you have planned to batch tasks. Okay, now for Sarah's second question, she says, I have 2 kids under 9 and a 3-month-old baby. I'm on maternity leave from my day job, so I can get some work done now, but I don't know how to be productive once I'm back at work. I can't always work after the kids are in bed like I used to, and baby doesn't sleep until midnight. Plus, I'm always exhausted at the end of the day. I can squeeze time in while I work, maybe an hour plus time on weekends. What do you suggest I do to maximize my time? So this is an excellent question, and for all of you listening who are parents, you will commiserate with this kind of situation where you have young kids. They require a lot of attention throughout all the day. And then sometimes, like Sarah's baby, doesn't sleep until it's midnight, and I can 100% relate to this because my toddler still goes to bed at around 1 p.m. or 1 a.m. Almost every night. So I definitely have I only have 1 child, not 3, but I can definitely relate to the unpredictable nature of your schedule when you have kids. So, the first part of Sarah's question was how to be productive once she's back at work. So I'm assuming that your day job is kind of like a 9-to-5 office job. So then you come home from that job, and that's your time to do family and work on your business, right? So, and then the other part is that, to make matters worse, is that she's exhausted at the end of the day. So here's kind of my thoughts on this. My number 1 tip for wrangling family schedules, especially with young kids, is to seek support from your spouse or your other family members or even friends, to see if they can give you kind of like a 1 to 2 hour window where you can, really go for it and work on the most important tasks for your business. So for me, that's kind of in the early evenings, which coincides really well for when my energy is highest. But even if you are not a night owl like me, you can still try to schedule that time, right when your husband comes home from work, or when you come home from work and your husband is home from work. You can work out that kind of window, maybe an hour first with a little break and then another hour, or just 2 hours straight so that you're done with it, and then you can have family time in the evenings. So that would be my number 1 tip about how to handle these kinds of issues where, well, when am I going to get the time? What am I going to do? All that kind of stuff, is to really lean on your support system. You don't have to do this all by yourself. And in fact, even I couldn't do this without the support of my husband, giving me those 2 hours in the evening to work on my business, just like I'm doing now. So that would be my number 1 tip. And then the second tip is really to get super organized about what you're going to work on and when. This is so much more important for those of us who have limited time to work on our business. So for any of you 9-to-5ers who are coming home from work and you're just mentally spent, you don't have that same decision-making capacity, it really helps to have a specific plan that you can just look at and see, okay, well, today I'm going to work on, X. And then you just start working on it. And then the other thing too that I will tell you, Sarah, is that don't feel like you have to be so perfect with your planning, especially if you haven't planned in advance before, or this kind of like thing is new to you. Like, it's gonna be new when you come home from work, right? Or when you go back to work, right? You're gonna have a new schedule. So give yourself permission to maybe say, okay, I plan to do this task and I'm feeling particularly tired. Like, my kids are gonna go to bed in like a little bit and I also need sleep. So I'm going to work on this for 15 minutes. And then if I feel like it, I will continue. And then if not, then I will go, play with kids or take a nap or, whatever it is that you feel like you need to do in that moment. Because here's the thing, like, yes, you are getting in 15 minutes versus, 2 hours worth of work. But the important thing is that, first of all, you are keeping a daily rhythm. So each day, at the same time each day, you are working on your business. So that kind of already trains your brain to expect that, like, okay, at this time I'm working on my business. So your brain will be more ready to go in the future. And second of all, even if you do 15 minutes worth of work, that is still so much better than not doing anything. It is a lot better than dragging yourself for 2 hours, hating your life, thinking like, oh my God, this business thing is a drag, because that's going to really severely impact your mindset. If you are resisting work, or not even resisting work because you are exhausted at the end of the day, like you say, then piling even more on top of that is going to be so counterproductive. Here's another idea too, is that for some people, if your energy is higher in the mornings, you can work before you go to your 9 to 5 as well. It doesn't have to be always after. Okay guys, so we had some technical difficulties on the previous stream and also audio issues on the backup stream that I did. So I was just thinking that I'm gonna record this video for you guys right now and then upload all of it together so that you can have all the Q's and all the A's in one place. So just to recap, my 3 tips for Sarah is: number 1, to ask support of your family and friends, especially your spouse. Number 2 is set that regular time appointment to work on your business. And if you feel exhausted or not really in the mood to do work, give yourself permission to just work for 15 minutes. Just get started on this task. And then if you don't feel like continuing, then don't. Because doing 15 minutes of work is so much better than not doing any work whatsoever. And the 3rd tip is that keep in mind that you don't always have to work after your 9 to 5. You can work in the morning, you can work on your lunch break at your 9 to 5, or you can work in the evening or after kids are gone to sleep. So I know, Sarah, you said that your kids go to sleep late and you can't really work after they are in bed, and that's fine. Just don't pigeonhole yourself into thinking you can only work at a specific time. Pay attention to your body, your energy levels, see when your energy is highest, and then try to work out that time for doing specifically the business tasks that are important. Okay, so our last question tonight comes from Yunchu. And Yunchu is wondering, what is one small step that one can do to overcome the feeling of uncomfortableness or hesitance to start on a task that one has been putting off due to the fear of not being able to complete it perfectly? So this is such an important question for all of us as entrepreneurs, because the reason that we became entrepreneurs in the first place is because we're so excited about our idea and helping people with our skills that we want everything to be perfect. And as you have seen on this show today, things are most definitely not always perfect, right? And for some of us, the perfectionistic tendencies are so strong that it paralyzes us to the point of inaction. We know that we should do this task, but we are waiting until the conditions are perfect, until we have the perfect equipment, until we have the perfect chunk of free time, right? Free time, quote unquote. And we are just stuck. We're waiting for something else to happen in order to help us get started on this task. But really, all we have to do is really just get started. So here is, Yunshu asked for one small tip. So I will give the first step in order to get working on that task that you're procrastinating on. And it kind of brings us full circle to one of the first questions that I answered on this episode, which is that when you're thinking about that task that you're hesitating to complete because it's perfect, so other than getting over the fact that it will never be perfect, no matter how much time, no matter how many tools, whatever it is that you need to do, remember, you need to get this into the hands of people whom it will help. So thinking about waiting until it's perfect doesn't serve anybody. And in fact, you're doing them a disservice by not giving them the information that they need, because you can't get over your own perfectionistic tendencies. But that wasn't the tip. So the number one tip is to think about that task that you are dreading and get it all out of your head and onto paper. Brainstorm all of the things that you are worried about getting done in this particular project, all the little steps, all the very specific things that you can do, just like the advice that I gave earlier in the episode. That's really going to be a very quick way to get you, first of all, motivated to work on this task, because now you see that instead of overwhelming, it is doable. And then second of all, once you start really getting excited about the thing that you are birthing into the world, this very imperfect but supremely helpful thing, then you will overcome kind of like that initial hesitation to just start working on it. So, okay, so this concludes the fourth episode of the Freeficient Entrepreneur Show. It's been such a good one. You guys have asked the best questions. Thank you everybody who tuned into the broadcast and put up with all the tech issues that we've had this episode. I am Anna Cragen, and I wish you a most productive week ahead. I will talk to you soon.
Thank you for tuning in to the Freeficient Entrepreneur Show. You can find more great content like this at freeficiency.com.